really boils down to three things: position, story, and vibe. And if you nail those three things, you can truly create a brand that resonates. So I'm going to go through all of them sort of individually and talk about what they mean and sort of how do you try to get at what's real with position, story, and vibe with regard to your brand. Position, let's start there. That's the more formal thing, the thing that people talk about in strategy most often. What's your brand position? Position really is just a strategic calculation of where your thing, your product, your company, even your personal brand, let's say you're a TikTok influencer. It's a strategic calculation of where that thing exists in the world, the three-dimensional world of all the other things that somebody might choose to align themselves with, to buy, to love, to be excited about. And that is inclusive of all the people and other brands that do almost exactly what you do and sell similar products, but it's also inclusive of other things that take up people's mind space. And I'll talk about the competitive audit here in a second because it's part of that, but you want to think kind of broader than just what are the 5 companies that do exactly what I do, because there are going to be other choices that a person could make that are not just that specific industry, that specific offering. But anyway, it's that strategic calculation of where you exist in the world of all those other things. And what are they saying about themselves? How are they positioning themselves around that kind of matrix? What's their story that they're telling? What's the feeling that they have behind what they do? And then that, kind of moves off into like, well, what does it look like? Is it colorful? Is it muted? Does it have a kind of curly, kind of floaty feeling to it visually? Does it have wonderful, vivid, bold photography, or are we all black and white illustrations? And you sort of triangulate where you live in that world and try to find, honestly, what we do as brand strategists is we're trying to find both. It's clear space, I guess, if you like plot all of those different other options on a scatter chart with, like, let's say, high to low, soft to hard on the axes. And the axes could be anything depending on what your industry is. And you're looking for the space that nobody else owns in there. That is one part of it. You want to try to fit into that space, but you have to know that space is the right one for you, authentic to you. So the first thing you would do is look for that open space and then start asking yourself, okay, that might be the open space, but, is that really who we are? And if not, you can kind of like drift toward one thing or another. You just have to figure out with the other two elements how to make that your own part of that space with story and with vibe. But we do all this by, doing competitive research, as I just said. We do that with looking at trend in your industry to say, okay, like what's been happening over the last couple of years and what appears to be about to happen. In our industry, over the last couple of years, we've moved from, over the last 10 years, we've moved from websites that were totally like big fat brochures, flat on the web. I won't even go back all further to like the Flash days and Parallax and all that kind of weird stuff. That was just sort of like icing on that cake. All the way to sites that are more kind of stripped down and functional. Like they're trying to have an audience like conduct it, get to a goal at the end of very easily. They have very good user experience. User experience has become very important all the way to now we're talking more about content design, how content is a part of design and how words are one of the biggest things that are going to lead a person to what they need and what you need on the website, all the way to now we're talking about personalization through AI interfaces and dynamic search on websites and, off into the future. So if I were doing a competitive or like a trend audit of my industry, that's some of the things that I would think about. And you would do the same for yours. And you would look at the other people around you, look at, what their, I would call implied brand is, because very likely you're not going to be able to get a hold of their brand strategy documents. Although some big companies do have them out there and you can take a look. I also am a collector of those. Like anytime I see one, I'll be like, ooh, there's Gusto's brand strategy and ooh, there's Webflow's. And I just like file it away in a folder. So I can look at it later. But you'll look around at kind of what everybody else seems to be saying about themselves. You'll see a lot of trends, a lot of things that are the same from one place to another. And if you have a clear sense or are starting to get a clear sense of like who you really are as a brand, you'll be able to say, I can see all of these healthcare companies are talking about, I don't know, making the care path easier for patients. And we do something like that, but really what we do is this better thing. And it really makes the care path easier for doctors, or something like that. So you're pulling those things out and you're saying, you're sort of making note of the things that make you different so you can figure out where in that space that you own. So that's position. And it's, again, it's kind of an art and a science. You're looking for the empty spaces in your competitive kind of set. But you're also looking to ask yourself, is that space that is potentially ownable something that we can really own, something we can really work, that at the heart of what we do is it rings true.